Hello, and welcome to Greek the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and today's topic is going to be about the Rubicon is broken. I'll share the screen here with you for some PowerPoints and to look at some things that bring us up here. Slideshow from the current slide. I have some previously prior to this. And we want it all the way up to a slideshow. Okay, the Rubicon. The Rubicon is broken has become a term that is used to look at way back in 49 BC when Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon River in Italy and went on down, and I'm not sure just exactly what all he did in Rome, but he made his way all the way to Rome, and that was against the law. And so it just became one of the taglines of history, that the Rubicon is broken, and when it's broken, it can't be repaired. But I don't know. There's been a lot of things that have been broken that are repaired. One thing is individual lives and decisions that we've made. This is a poster that I made about this is the life, and how that we are driven by pleasure, pain, wanting as much pleasure and good time and success as we can have, while trying to avoid as much pain and sorrow and heartache as possible. And so we look for the good times in life, for the things that look good, smell good, taste good, feel good. And it seems to be the life, that this is the life. It's bringing us prestige, fame, fortune, stuff, fun, fulfillment, adventures. The thing of it is that often it does not bring us fulfillment. And we begin to think, well, maybe this is the lie. And there's a little F in there, but it's been kind of faded it out. Because we begin to realize that, this stuff, it's good stuff and all that, but it's not fulfilling. In working with the prisoners and their exchanges of how things were so difficult. So, we can be filled up to here. We can be throwing up full. We can be totally satiated, but still not be fulfilled. And fulfilled is looking at the choices that we make that are good for us, but not only good for us, that are good for others as well. And so, one of the lines from a poem that I have written is, it is adversity that makes us strong. It's stones in the brook that creates the song. And as we begin to look at the way things are and how sometimes we say, I should have, well, as we realize I could have, and we go back and begin to make we don't go back because we can't go back. As we begin to start where we are today and begin to make some additional steps forward. And as Dr. William Glasser says, we do not learn from making mistakes. We learn from correcting them. So whatever our mistakes have been or our errors have been, let's look at correcting them. So, a panorama of history. I was blessed this past week to be with the municipal school system of Clovis, New Mexico, and we talked about and looked at history and a panorama, and Dr. Glasser's I'm going to put us on pause for a minute. Well, maybe I'm just putting me on pause. Anyway, look at the panorama of history. And Dr. Glasser's chart that he made, and looking at back to hundreds of years ago and coming up to today and even the future beyond, how much has human relationships progressed in conjunction with technical progression. And Dr. Glasser's rationale was that human progression is not that much better than it was back then. That matter of fact, sometimes it seems worse, or maybe it's just because it's a bigger world and we know more about what is going on out there with the news and the social medias and the phones and all that kind of stuff. Whereas technical progress has just taken off and it's skyrocketing. And the thing behind that is the fact that we are more, we don't take technology quite so personally, in that we are more, if something technical doesn't work, we don't so much blame it as we do at looking at, we need a newer model. We need something that's new and improved. But yet, if a relationship doesn't go quite so well, we have a tendency to place blame rather than looking at how we were equal contributors to the issue. So I have this little drawing from my grandson. He is a college student now, but back whenever he was just learning in school and kindergarten, and he drew this and he showed it to me, and he says, "Nana, you are not going to believe this, but you take a seed and you put it in the ground, and then the sun comes out and the nights happen and the rain comes and the sun comes, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it comes out, and it produces a flower, or it produces whatever you plant it to be. If it is an apple tree, it comes up to be a little apple tree. If it is a flower, it comes up to be a flower." And he was just so innocently and so sweet in explaining how seeds grow and how they produce and how they grow to be something else. And so it kind of reminds me of the fact that all systems work perfectly. And we are a system. Our body is a system. Our relationships are systems. Whatever our work is, all these things are systems. And all systems work perfectly. You may go, whoa, wait a minute. We have a system here that's not working quite so perfectly. But it does work perfectly for the results that it produces. And in looking at the fact that, you know, I am one of the producers, what I need to continually ask myself is, how can I modify my thoughts, my actions, my speech, my demeanor? How can I modify these things, being true to who I am, yet at the same time working within a healthy system of relationships, of neighborhoods, of work? And what values do I bring to this perception? And values are primary, because it is the values, as we look at things, whatever it is we're looking at, it has to pass through a value filter before we will take it into our world and into our reality. And any actions that we do in correcting or fixing or working in any system, if we come, or when we come from a reactive position, it adds toxic elements. And it's always looking at monitoring our thoughts, because thoughts become things. Was it one of the greats, Renee, that said, "I think, therefore I am"? And what we think about is who we become. Well, again, back to wisdom of Dr. William Glasser. Here's a couple of thoughts that he says. The more unhappy you are, the more you will try to do something to feel better. That's part of our system. I'm unhappy, I don't feel good, I'm bored, I want to do something to feel better. The more unhappy you are, the more you will try to do something to feel better. But it is still unlikely that you will try to make major changes in your own behavior, because we say that's just the way I am. But it doesn't have to be the way we stay. Another on this thinking things through. If you depend on the fairness of others for your happiness, your life will be filled with disappointments, because each one of us is the architect of our life. our life was a gift given to us from whatever it is that causes the seed to grow in the womb and to come out and to be a human being. And we need to be taught, we need to learn in the system of teaching. But if we depend on others doing things and being fair, we will be filled with disappointment. And another quote from Dr. Glasser: difficult as it may be, there is a real plus in depending on yourself and seeing to it that your system works okay. Because when you do, you have a lot more control over what happens to you. But it needs to be controlled. The challenge is on us. It's on us individually. And I realize that these are coming up kind of randomly, that these are all, again, quotes from Dr. William Glasser. To think of Tom, and Tom is just used as a filler. Think of you. Think of your children. Think of your coworkers. Think of whomever as a good piece of furniture, well worth making the effort to restore it, to restore your relationship with that person, with that individual, with that company, with that group. It is a lot of work, but if you are willing to do the work, it pays off. Because choice theory teaches that we choose all that we do and that we are responsible for the choices that we make. This means that we choose both our happiness and our misery. And that can really take some thought whenever we're in that misery. I am choosing this? I think not. Or I certainly don't want to. So how can I choose to do something that would be more fulfilling? Just stopping the negative habits one time, especially when the other person expects you to keep using those negative habits, makes a big difference. It makes all the difference. And the negative habits are complaining and griping and blaming, whereas the caring and the connecting habits are understanding and dialoguing. Asking Tom instead of telling Tom infers that you respect him. The best way to evaluate something new is to try it in actual practice. And if it works, its value will be obvious. Oh, that sounds like such a crazy idea. Just try it and see. See if it works for you. And then its value will be obvious. You go, oh, yeah. Bus drivers, here's from Dr. Glasser. Bus drivers recognize that when a person, a student, has a problem, the problem needs to be dealt with and solved so they can get down to the business they're hired to do. And sometimes in living life and in having healthy relationships or in working with others, problems arise. But they need to be solved, sometimes by us, mostly by others, solving it themselves, so that we can get back to what we're hired to do, to what our job is, to what our purpose is. Because, again, if you study history and science, you will find that the world is not a friendly place for people who walk down uncharted pathways. Meaning, we need to look at the road we're going down rather than just going down it to see what's going on. And then another quote is, we commit to memory what we use frequently and what interests us. And so the challenge is that life is on us as individuals to learn who we are, to become the best us possible. And it is possible. And we do learn through our errors. At least we learn through our errors as we begin willing to correct them. So thank you for being here. And I trust that there are no Rubicons in your life that are broken. That if they are, that you will begin to look at the errors and see how you can think through and find about some connecting habits that put you on the right path to good, healthy relationships. Thanks for being here, and many blessings.